This week's This Is Home highlights a music education teacher at Jefferson Elementary who was selected to march and perform in the upcoming Tournament of Roses Parade in Pasadena, California. We talked with Jeff Treadway, and our Cassidy Fury is in the studio to tell us more. Cassidy?
Thank you, Phyllis. I caught up with Mr. Treadway in his classroom at Jefferson Elementary to talk about his upcoming trip to the Golden State and the honor of being selected to perform. He is one of 4 band directors representing West Virginia and the only one representing Wood County.
This Is Home, sponsored by A1 Heating and Cooling and TB Dentistry.
Jeff Treadway has taught music for the past 15 years in a few different Wood County schools. He graduated from Ohio State University and remembers his time fondly in the Ohio State Marching Band.
Got opportunities to march for the president in the inaugural parade, went to the national championship in 2002, marched in various bowls and parades throughout my time there, and then moved back to the Mid-Ohio Valley, and I've taught at Parkersburg Catholic High School for 10 years and 5 years here.
Going professional was never something Treadway considered. After encouragement from his elementary music teacher, he went on to be involved in music and choir throughout his early education. Even after some pre-grad cold feet, he realized his passion was truly in teaching.
I've always had that desire to teach. And so I have to admit, I was a little nervous my last year of college when I went out into the student teaching after spending years in the academic realm. I thought, is this really for me? And I had such a positive student teaching experience. I thought, yep, this is my calling.
Of the 325 band directors chosen to march in the parade, Treadway is one of 4 band directors representing West Virginia and the only one representing Wood County. Treadway is looking forward to seeing some familiar faces, including the band director of the Rose Parade and Bowling Green State University, John Waters.
Him and I were both in the band together at The Ohio State University back during our college days, so I'm anxious to meet him and talk with him and catch up.
Assistant Principal at Jefferson Elementary, Cindy Oxender, expressed her excitement about Treadway's invitation to march in the Tournament of Roses. She said Treadway's impact on the students and curriculum makes him the perfect candidate to accept this honor.
We are so excited for Mr. Treadway to have an opportunity to participate and represent in the 137th Rose Parade. He is an excellent selection for this honor. Each and every year, Mr. Treadway offers exciting new opportunities for our students in the realm of music. He looks at interdisciplinary ways to include other parts of the curriculum into his music opportunities within his classroom, and we couldn't be more tickled for Mr. Treadway as an Ohio State alumni to be able to represent this local community in the Parade of Roses.
Treadway spends any spare time he has practicing and memorizing the 5 songs the band will perform in the parade. He says making sure he is in top physical shape for the 5.5-mile parade is his second priority to getting the songs down perfectly. Reporting from Parkersburg, WTAP News, I'm Cassidy Fury, and this is Home.
The Tournament of Roses Parade will take place on New Year's Day at 8 a.m. with the band performing live on television in the second hour of the event. Back to you, Phyllis.
Thank you, Cassidy. We hope he has a great time.